Hello, my name is Michael Townsend. I'm the district representative for State Senator Connie Leyva. It's my pleasure to join you today. I want to talk to you a little bit about the work that we do in Senator Leyva's office, and particularly about what I do as her district representative. I'll start by saying that there are two different offices. Well, there are two district offices, and we do the same thing at both district offices, one in Chino and one in San Bernardino. But the other office is in Sacramento, and that office does very specific tasks with the senator while she's there Monday through Thursday. They work on policy issues primarily, including preparing her for committee hearings, for floor session, helping her do some of the bill analysis, and preparing for introducing legislation and voting on legislation. In the district office, uh, we primarily represent her in terms of doing public relations, I'll say as a term for keeping her name in the public eye, keeping the public aware of what is she doing in Sacramento in terms of legislation and votes, and also hosting events. That is, she sponsors events, and in doing so, we as her district representatives do the background work of finding the venue, getting the catering, setting the agenda, getting the speakers, all of the background work that you would do in event planning. So that's a portion of what we do. Also attending meetings on her behalf, representing her interest and her so that the public knows that she's engaged in issues of concern to the community, and also trying to discern how can the state or the senator intervene in those issues. So, for example, if it's a local entity, let's say a law enforcement issue, is there funding from the state, from an agency within the state that provides funding or has some grant opportunities that could be considered by the local entity, by the local law enforcement agency? So for me, I would be bringing that information to the local law enforcement agency in order for them to consider submitting a response to the request for proposals. Um, Another part of what we do is we receive her mail, and so we understand what the issues are in the community and respond to those on her behalf. And of course, all of these times, these occasions of us doing work on her behalf, we're keeping her informed both of what's going on in the community, um, giving her suggestions on how it would be important to intervene, and then communicating to the public in her district what is she doing in Sacramento. So those are the ways that I describe it being a public relations type of position. In addition, the district, each district is very unique, and so one of the things that we want to do on her behalf is to distinguish what are the specific needs of this area, or for example, what are some suggestions that community members are bringing forward in terms of ways that she can submit legislation that would benefit our region. And so we are the eyes and ears of the member, the mouthpiece as well, and it works in both directions. Many times, legislation does come from the district. That is, individuals who have a recommendation that there's a specific change needed in the law, existing law that needs to be adjusted in a certain way, and the language of a bill can do that, can change existing law. And sometimes there's brand new laws that need to be introduced. And then, of course, there are times when there's a resolution that's needed. For example, there's a anniversary or some type of important event that comes up, and it deserves recognition at the state level. And so we work on her behalf to get the background information of that special occasion and provide that to Sacramento in order for them to write the text of the resolution. Now, many people in the district contact the district office in order to get assistance with the state agency. Let's say, for example, a person is waiting for documentation from the DMV, and in the meantime, um, they have only one vehicle, they need to get back and forth to work, yet they haven't received their license. And they're unclear as to why it is that the DMV has not responded to them. And part of our role is just to kind of assist in that communication. The communication between the DMV and the individual, where it could be that the DMV is waiting for some documentation from the constituent, and so they can't proceed with processing the paperwork and sending the constituent the necessary documents that they need simply because they're waiting. Meanwhile, the constituent is waiting for information from the DMV, and what we do is we have kind of a back door to every state agency so that we can kind of unclog that communication problem and try to resolve the issue, which is usually a communication issue. We don't have direct authority over the outcome of the issue itself, but we can help in that communication process. Constituents also call when they feel a certain way about pending legislation. They may have a very strong opinion about whether pending legislation should pass or not, and they will call and give their position of support or opposition. And as district staff, we receive that information. We collect that information and we submit it to our Sacramento colleagues so that there's somewhat of a tally that takes place. And the senator then will know, either in committee or on the floor, how her constituents feel about particular issues or about particular legislation. I'm trying to cover as much ground as I can here in this short interview, but I do want to share with you that although the senators are very bright, and many of the legislators are, we have fantastic ideas, a lot of suggestions for legislation come from the district. And a person may ask, how do we do that? Like, what is the process? And it's much easier than most people think. You can simply give that idea, as specific as you can, but it doesn't have to be written in the legalese of law. We do that. The concept is what's important. If you bring the concept forward, then we can take it from there. You may also help in terms of finding out what specific industry groups or organizations would support that idea. And in doing so, we may call on them to give testimony, or that is, the senator would call on them to give testimony in committee. That's giving a real world life experience to the issue, and the other members who are considering voting for or against are going to put that issue in better perspective because it has a real human feel. There's the impact on communities is made real by that action. We have focus groups at times asking for opinions on certain issues, but not often. We mainly the senator hears the concerns and preferences of her constituency through her district representatives. And so that's a big part of what I do. I'm her eyes and ears, and I'm always communicating to her and through my chain of command what the district, that is the population in the district, are concerned about, what are the priorities, and how can we help. Part of that includes research, and that's researching the background of the issue so that we can provide a more comprehensive report to the senator. But by and large, that's what we do in the district office. And so, of course, we welcome you to call us at Senator Leyva's office, and it's in the State Building in San Bernardino. Thank you very much for allowing me to interview with you, and please feel free to call on us. Again, my name is Michael Townsend.